Good morning, everybody. So welcome to today's session. So what I'm covering today is something I'm calling quantum mysticism. What's that? Well, basically, one thing I've noticed, I've got a physics degree from Manchester University from the 1970s, and so I do know a little bit about science, about physics and stuff, and not that I remember a lot of it, but one thing I notice is that people, Buddhists in particular, often get excited about things like quantum mechanics, and as if it's like, well, probably what's going on there is they think that it somehow challenges or undermines the dominion of science. It makes science kind of all powerful and all that sort of thing, and somehow kind of like weakens it, and kind of therefore brings in the possibility of the spiritual kind of world into life. So I think what tends to happen is like they kind of get into all talking about string theory and this, that, and the other, and it's a kind of mysticism, really. So here I've got here's a little kind of picture of so mysticism. That's two a quark and an anti-quark popping out of the vacuum for a short amount of time and then recombining. So it's kind of it's kind of interesting and exciting, isn't it? Something like that, especially when you get really nice graphics. So yeah, I think what I want to look at is just this whole area. Like there's a blog post. The secret to a longer and happier life is hidden in Einstein's theory of relativity. Similar thing, Are we living in a computer simulation? Very nice. Yeah. Anyway, so I think I want to just kind of like unpack this a little bit and sort of see what the what's really going on here. In terms of because I think when you've got any sort of mysticism going on, it's a bit like it's telling you something. It's telling you that there's some sort of religion going on there. So I'm gonna unpack that like this one. Okay, so first of all, we'll begin by doing a little bit of body work, and then some meditation after that, and then I'll get onto the topic. So if you want to stand up. Okay. So let's begin. Just rub your hands together. Your hands a squeeze. And then just drumming with your fingers on top of your head. And feel the contacts of your feet with the ground. And just give your face a bit of a wash with your hands. And just this sort of thing, swinging backwards and forwards. And then the other side. So I'm just loosening up the body a little bit before meditation. And just circling your hips. Try to make a nice big circle with the upper part of your body. Nice stretch backwards to the side, forwards and to the side. And then twisting to the left and hold the twist. And then the other side. Back again. Shake everything out. And then just put your hands on your stomach. And then when you notice that you're breathing out, bending your knees. And then when you're breathing in, straighten your knees. So it's down on the out breath, and then up on the in breath. Down on the out breath, up on the in breath. And put your hands out the front. So down on the out breath, and then put your hands out the front, and then up on the in breath. Your chin, turning at the chin, down to your hips, turning at the hips, up on the in breath, and then down, up on the in breath, and then down, up on the in breath, and down. And then next time, just go past your chin up into the air, out to the sides. Again, up the middle. And then one last one. And then take a seat for meditation. Just settling into your posture. Just allow your body to support your weight, your skeleton to support your weight, and then just balancing your spine so that your weight goes down as vertically as possible, down into whatever you're sitting on. And tuning into how you're feeling at the moment as well. What's the general state of your mind? What's the state of your emotions? So I think because we're doing, in a way, today we're doing topic of science and religion, or science and Buddhism. We'll do a metta bhavana, loving kindness meditation, just to emphasize this, the important side of individual emotional development, that comes with religion, with Buddhism. What's the role of religion? So having a sense first of yourself and your life, the ups and the downs that you go through over time, the joy and the sadness. And in this meditation, we're just trying to kind of get behind ourselves, get behind our lives with a sense of encouragement and care, support, wishing ourselves well. Metta bhavana. So working in whatever way you like to in the meditation, you might use phrases, drop in phrases, may I be well, may I be happy, may I be free from suffering, make progress. And then look for a response that's in line with that, an actual emotion that is this effectively that wish. Or you might use an image or colour or something to represent warmth, kindness, friendliness towards yourself. So it's called the metta-bhavana, loving kindness, cultivation of universal loving kindness. So whatever we do that actually just increases the kindness that we feel towards ourselves is the meditation. So I'm just taking in the fact that we're a human being who is sensitive to their experience, doesn't want to suffer. If we can see that really clearly, then it's very natural that we would just want to look after ourselves. So now in the second stage, just bring to mind a good friend. And directing your well-wishing towards your friend. May they be well. So if you get a bit lost or other emotions come in or other thoughts, distractions, just try and let go of those and come back to the point of the meditation, which is developing kindness towards firstly ourselves and now a good friend. May they be well. So the third stage, bring to mind a neutral person. Somebody that we see about. Maybe they work in the post office or something. And trying to get our well-wishing behind them, our lives. Wanting them to be well, to not suffer. Now, in the fourth stage, bringing to mind some that we have some difficulty with. And just realizing that even though we find some things difficult about them, that doesn't stop us from wishing them well. So we might think in the Metabhavana that rather than wanting something like a new computer or a new car or whatever it is, we might think what we're wanting, we're trying to focus on is wanting the well-being of living beings around the world. Wanting them to be having positive experiences. Now just letting your natural care and concern for living beings just flow outwards into the world. May living beings everywhere be well, not suffer, make progress. in your own time, bring your meditation to a close. Okay, let's get going then. Where to start? Well, I think we'll start with some physics, actually. So, about roughly around 100 years ago, you had well, actually, what was it? It was in 1905 that Einstein came out with his theory of special relativity, and then I think it was 1915 his theory of general relativity. So basically, what he he did these thought experiments he worked in the patent office in, I think it was Zurich, and he just kind of did kind of thought experiments, and I think one of the things that he focused on was the fact that the speed of light was finite, 186,000 miles a second, something like that. So it takes 8 minutes. It takes 8 minutes for light to go from the sun to the Earth, this sort of thing, and 25 years to come from the nearest star, and 15 billion years to come from the edge of the universe. So it just shows how big everything is, so what Einstein did was he did these thought experiments, and he thought, well, if you started to travel faster and faster, what would happen? Given that light takes a certain amount of time to reach you and things, and I suppose he thought that, well, actually, if you started traveling at the speed of light, the light coming from an object behind you would never reach. It would never reach you if you're at the speed of light. It would never. So basically, he realised that you'd get these distortions happen in your experience. So if you're kind of traveling if you're traveling near the speed of light, then what you're looking at the sides there gets squashed together. So all the houses in the road would actually become thinner and thinner, and I suppose at the point where you're actually at the speed of light, then they'd be infinitesimally thin. So the whole universe would compress into a two-dimensional plane, effectively. But what he realized was that to get to the speed of light, you'd have to push the whole universe out behind you. It's like thrust, So effectively, it's kind of like, in a way, not really possible. I'm sure physicists are going to come up and go, "That's wrong." Anyway, this is my understanding of it. So because the speed of light is finite. It's very fast, but it's finite. Then it leads to these certain effects. And in a way, so information travels at the speed of light, whether it's light waves or radio waves or whatever. So we can only know about things. There's that constraint put on what we can know about any information in the universe. It has to travel to us at the speed of light, and so it puts these constraints on things. So physics used to be, back in the days of Newton, it was, where he had this, he watched an apple fall into the ground, and he took, he realized the sort of theory of gravitation, that objects attracted to each other. And that all kind of held true, or still holds true, generally speaking. You've got what's called Newtonian mechanics. But things break down at the extremes of, like, large distances, very fast speeds, and also very small distances. So when you go down to the level of, like, the atom and that sort of thing, again, you get this sort of breakdown in knowledge, what can happen, what we can know, really. So you get something called Heisenberg's uncertainty principle. So what that says is that it's impossible to determine the exact position and exact momentum or velocity of an electron simultaneously. And the reason why is that here's an electron going around an atom, so in order to measure its velocity, you have to shine a light on it to see it, But that light wave has energy in it, so the light wave hits the electron and changes its speed, because it nudges it in a particular direction. So that, the light wave bounces off the electron into the microscope. But so if you want to know the position more accurately, you have to make the light brighter. But then that changes the velocity. The uncertainty in the velocity, so you don't know how fast it's going. So you can pin if you try and pin the position down, what happens is that the uncertainty in the velocity increases, and vice versa. If you try and pin the velocity down, then the uncertainty in position increases. So this is something called the uncertainty principle, and it just means that the at subatomic particle level, everything becomes there's this uncertainty in what you can know. So this led to something called quantum mechanics, and so physicists sort of tried to kind of work out what they could know within these constraints and things, and I think they started just like looking at coming up with theories within these constraints and stuff. And the whole language around quantum mechanics just became very, in a way, imaginative. So it's just physicists being playful, really, I suppose. So they talk about particles that were strange, or you'd have something called quantum chromodynamics. So it's like you given a color, given like that thing I showed earlier with the quark and antiquark coming apart and then coming back. It's like they give them a color, they give them colors and stuff. And you also got ideas like something called quantum entanglement. So like particles that being kind of connected with each other, being entangled with each other. even though they're kind of on opposite sides of the universe, they would, according to this theory, they would still be affecting each other. So if you sort of measured one, then you could know something about the other, you know. If two particles are entangled, then no matter how far they are in the universe apart, you can predict the behavior of one by observing the other. And well, Einstein didn't believe in this. He called it spooky action at a distance. He says that you know, because the information travels faster than the speed of light, something like that. Nothing can travel faster than the speed of light. So, but the guy countered that by saying that something like that only applies when the information is not random. Anyway, you get into this sort of thing. So my basic point in this is that people read about this quantum entanglement, you know, things happening, affecting each other at opposite sides of the universe, and it's like they get excited about it, you know. It's quantum mysticism. So I'll just say a bit about religion, about science and religion. I've talked about this before, but yeah, need to talk about it again. So I don't know if you saw the film 2001, Space Odyssey. So what happened in that was that at the beginning of the film was these apes were kind of gathered around a watering hole and just kind of acting normally, really. And this is the point at the point in the film before in a way the tool was invented. So they just one group of apes comes along to the watering hole and challenges the other group, and then the other group run off because they're afraid of this you know, two tribes of apes, and there's no weapons or anything involved, you know. But then what happens is this black monolith appears, you know, they're sleeping, and this monolith appears next to them, and it sort of emits this kind of eerie music. And I think what it symbolizes something happening, which is this sort of shift in consciousness, you know, so that after this point, then the apes seem to be able to recognize what a tool is, or a weapon. So one of the apes picks up a bone, you know, of a carcass, and he starts hitting the ground with it. And then later on, you know, they all pick up these bones, and then they use them as weapons against the other tribe of it's not a tribe, is it, of apes, whatever it is, gaggle of apes, whatever, you know. Anyway, they use it, you know, they use the bones as weapons, you know. So in a way, so it's often sort of said that, you know, what distinguishes man from the animals is this kind of like something like self-consciousness or something. But I think what it is really, it's a capacity for abstraction. So what happened there was that so prior to the birth of abstraction, so prior to the monolith appearing, you just have the ape or the animal would just have an experience. So they'd maybe have an experience of the hand, they'd have an experience of the sun, they'd have an experience of lightning striking the hillside and causing the gorse to the trees to burn and stuff. And all those experiences would just be unconnected. They'd just be experience, they'd just be this experience. But then maybe after the monolith has appeared, after this shift has happened, after the capacity to abstract concepts from experience has happened, then what you've got is the ape can see this common theme there, So there's the warmth in his hand, there's the warmth in the sun, and there's the warmth in the lightning striking hillside causing it to set alight. So he's able to abstract the concept of heat, as a concept, as an abstract concept. And then what he's then able to do with that heat, that concept, is play around with it, until he could make fire with it, So it's like maybe he saw the link between the lightning flash and maybe like when two bits of flint accidentally sort of knocked together and made a spark. Something he just thought, association, maybe I could try and make fire with this spark, and then he made fire. So this is just the process of science, really. So through the application of concepts, we're able to make concrete objects in the world: fire, tools, weapons, iPhone, Large Hadron Collider, so we're able to actually create concrete things in the world, and this is what technology is about, isn't it? It's like things that are useful to us, that are drawn out of this kind of process of abstraction. So I've used this before. So this is science, the way that science progresses. So what you have is scientists doing measurements, and this is something called third-person evidence. So it's something that you need to be able to show to somebody else, so third person, and prove to them. So you do an experiment and you publish your results, and it says that I was able to do this, create this particular result within this set of errors. There's nothing's ever pinned down exactly. It's always within a sort of a range of errors, and then this is the result I've had. So that then gets repeated by other scientists, and it becomes the body of scientific knowledge. So when we're dealing with quantum mechanics, it's the same thing. It's the same process. Scientists are kind of coming up, working with subatomic particles, and they're coming up with theories, and then those theories need to work in experience. So they need to produce the particles that those particles need to be seen, with the large kind of collide and stuff like that. They smashed like different particles into each other, then what comes off are new particles, but those need to be part of the the predicted by the theory. So yeah, it's all the same thing really. So it's all dealing in things that you can see, that can be observed by your colleagues. It's all producing technology. It's all, so for instance, it might be possible to produce like a fusion reactor, by working with the subatomic, understanding better subatomic particles. So we'll be able to have nuclear power that just is made from basically like water, So yeah, it's all kind of man kind of basically doing the exact same thing as picking up the bone, the ape picking up the bone and hitting the other apes. It's like a tool, producing tools to make life easier in a certain sort of way, But well, I remember being in a debate with somebody at Butterfield around this whole thing of science and religion, I think it was on. And I said, well, somebody can invent the atom bomb, but it's still up to any individual as to whether they use it, whether they press the button. So the science is over there, and the moral decision making is kind of over here, and the two can never be, in a way, brought together because what what religion deals with, or particularly Buddhism deals with, is first person evidence, first person experience. So it's like each individual makes their individual choice about what they do or don't do all the time in terms of their actions in life. So do I press the button or not? It has to be, it's down to an individual, or do I eat meat or not, or do I what do I do as livelihood? So all these things are personal decisions made by individuals. So we've had the birth of abstraction, which is one thing that mankind invented, but then also mankind has invented other things. So it's also invented culture and religion. And this is the area I'm just starting to move into now. So basically, the world of what's knowable is covered by, science and technology. So, producing tools, through mastering concepts and that sort of thing. But you could imagine how, even at whatever level we're at, in terms of technological development. So, you take man now and compare him to, inventing the axe or something like that. It's still the same. We still have the same problem in that there's always the unknown. There's always what's beyond the limits of our knowledge and technology and stuff. So when early man kind of looked up into the sky and into the night sky, the stars and everything, and saw the moon coming into phases of the moon, and just the patterns of the life that are sort of beyond, in a way that kind of you could see, but they were kind of a bit inaccessible. You can't go up into the sky and find out what's going on there, or even like down in the earth under the, in caves, or, kind of, it's sort of, it's like it's, some things are inaccessible, but also things like, what happens when you die, so it's not something that's within your control or knowledge, So with all these things that are basically unknowns, inaccessible parts of life, then he must have felt a need to come into relationship with that, even though it is unknown. So when when he created a stone circle and sort of lined it up with the stars, with astronomical events and things, which is what happened. It's probably some sort of acknowledgement that there is this bigger pattern to things, and almost like there's a hope that there is some pattern to things that he could like align himself with, or that would bring that there'd be some sort of order in that chaos, in that unknown. So seeing patterns in the universe is more like the domain of culture and religion, So seeing that, for instance, there's a pattern of like justice or something, so that when when people, there's a pattern of good and evil or something like that, so that some things are good and other things are evil. So it might be that you kind of intuit that sense that, when people get along well together and there's a sort of harmony and stuff like that, or cooperation, that this is something that's like good, but it's not like a thing. It's more a kind of a pattern in the universe, So it's like aligning himself with the patterns in the universe. It's like, and then so this is how probably he kind of came up with the idea of gods and God, and they're just like imagine representing some sort of realities in the universe, patterns in the universe. So that, the approach to the unknown is like brought about through creating a symbol. So the symbol is like this soft focused version of the reality. So in Buddhism, if the reality is like enlightenment, then the symbol is like the statue of the Buddha, who's kind of trying to help us move towards that. So when we've got a symbol like that, then we can come into relationship with it. It kind of represents the reality, that we think is the case in the universe. So through symbol, in a way, instead of concept, we've got symbol here. So through the symbol, we come into relationship with that, whether it's the Buddha or the scales of justice or something, or some sort of idea of like a festival. Through the symbol, then we develop a personal belief system, which then has an effect on the moral structures and actions in the world. So that the symbol leads to an ethical theme in the world. So it might be sort of justice, it might be community, if it's festivals and community. So yeah, that can't be reduced. You can't reduce this to this, which is what often people try and do. The scientific, because science is so successful and all pervasive, that this is what people try and do, sort of reduce philosophy to science. So are we living in a computer simulation? High-profile scientists and philosophers gathered to debate whether we are real or virtual and what this means either way. So some philosophers there are going along with science being the top value in philosophy. And this is something called the natural attitude. It's a belief that it's a belief system that, in effect, makes science into a religion. So I've talked about Stephen Jay Gould before. So he's a paleontologist. Here's him in The Simpsons. So he talks about science and religion being what we call non-overlapping magisteria. So this is what I referred to here, with third-person evidence, science, religion, Buddhism, first-person evidence. You make up your own mind about what wisdom is, or what you're going to believe in, what you're going to put your faith in, and you can. That's non-transferable. You can't not do that. Yet everybody's got to put their faith in something or other, and that effectively becomes their religion. Even if that religion is science. So when science is your religion, this is something called Scientism. So it's the belief that science can solve all of our problems, and and I think people who believe in sort of used to have that thing in the 60s of cryogenic, people getting frozen, and so they're going to get brought back to life in 1,000 years or something. So yeah, I think what's the basic point you want to make here today? Well, I think the basic point is that whatever we wherever we put our mysticism, there's a quote from Einstein somewhere in the paper there, about so anyway, so Einstein says, "I do not believe in a personal God, and I've never denied this, but I've expressed it clear. If something is in me which can be called religious, then it is the unbounded admiration for the structure of the world as far as science can reveal it." So this is quite a common view among scientists. Richard Dawkins talks about this, about kind of the wonder of the natural world and that sort of thing. So, but I think this is still science. It still isn't about it isn't about ethics still. It's not about personal, what you do in life, how you act in life. So, you have to have some sort of ethical, on the symbolic level, you have to have some sort of system up here that you're acting from, whether it's Buddhism or whatever it is, humanism, that actually informs your ethical life. And this isn't anything to do with scientific mysticism, with how wonderful the universe is, or how amazing black holes are, or whatever it is. This is to do with your personal decision making about what your system of values is. So I think this is the main point I want to make. So it's fine to get kind of a bit excited about things in the universe that are string theory or whatever it is, or dark matter or something like that. But just realize that the thing you're getting excited about is technology, basically. It's just like looking at your phone. It's like you're getting excited about something that's about the structure of the world, what you can do with it, so there's this book by a guy called Evan Thompson called Why I'm Not a Buddhist. And so Evan Thompson was one of the three co-authors of a book called The Embodied Mind, which came out in the early 90s, which is a really important book in the Buddhism science debate. So he's been around this book is only very recent. He's been around for years for this topic. So he talks about the myth of Buddhist exceptionalism. So the idea that Buddhism is sort of special among religions in that it's inherently rational and scientific, and it gives all these quotes, like Richard Dawkins says Buddhism is surely religion's best shot. Sam Harris, in Waking Up, A Guide to Spirituality Without Religion, writes, Buddhism without the unjustified bits is essentially a first-person science. The Dalai Lama, Buddhism is more than a religion, it's a science of the mind, Well, I suppose, so there's a lot of kind of people, in a way, wanting to, for Buddhism to be rational and, to kind of, and this happens in secular mindfulness as well, take the religious bits out of mindfulness. But and in a way, it's kind of true. It's sort of true, in a way, because Buddhism does kind of give us all the tools for making our life a better life, so through meditation and all that sort of thing. But it's still, you've still got this. It gives, in a way, it provides the tools and everything, just like the bone and everything. But you've still got this internal element, which is like whether the person has faith in it or not. Whether they what they are choosing all the time to do. But also there is this point at which technique runs out. And in a way, you've got to have some sort of faith in the things that you don't know, and that's where the more religious side of Buddhism comes in, you know. So images of bodhisattvas, you know, the Buddha, who are figures that have got qualities further along than we have, you know. So it's really, it would be really unhelpful to have a Buddhism which didn't have this higher, you know, higher sort of aspect to it, you know, where there's something there which is beyond what we know, you know. So, you know, to think that we know what enlightenment is or something is just a really bad idea, you know. So it's like because otherwise there's nowhere to go, there's nowhere forward to go. So the whole like religious side of things, where we use people relate to symbolism and get excited about, you know, kind of poetry that's directed in the direction of enlightenment, this sort of thing. That's all really necessary for the human spirit, you know. So there's a quote from Einstein: "The human spirit must prevail over technology." So, yeah, I think maybe that's the point to finish here. You know, that in the end, you know, we have to have this, you know, human spirit, and I think it's exemplified by what we're doing earlier, which is loving kindness meditation, where we're just like really wanting beings to be doing well, wanting everybody to be doing well, wanting ourselves to be doing well. And we're really trying to make something out of the world which isn't about technology, which isn't about how clever we are, you know, in terms of our phones and our hadron colliders, our theories of the universe, you know, but which is about how human we are, you know, and how there's, you know, that can be an area for a lot of mystery, you know, and imagination. So, you know, trying to have a sense of, it's inconceivable how fantastic, you know, we could make life for each other, you know, if we really put our energy into it, you know, put our sort of will and kind of imagination, you know, behind creating a much better world for each other. So, so yeah, I think, you know, we've got these two sides. It's good that we have technology that it can help us, but you know, it's really necessary that we have this, you know, human spirit, which is given as much or even maybe more attention. So that's it. Thanks.